We need to talk about episode 8. Alright, dreamers, I'll be real with y'all. I am recording this off the cuff because I've tried to get my thoughts together on what I'm feeling after the amazing Digital Circus episode 8, and... you know, I should be a good YouTuber and actually write all this down, but there is so much that's happening here. Caine has finally caught on that people do not want to be on these adventures. They're tired, they're exhausted, everything he's doing is just blowing up in his face, and he is starting to crack. And it doesn't help that there's also a little bubble that's right along his side, whispering in his ear, "You were the lesser of the two." Oof, bruh. And as Caine is starting to spiral and ruminate and, well, okay, I'll be real with you. I don't want to give away too much before we dive into things. How about we watch episode 8 together? And hello, Peachy. I'm so ready. Oh yeah, closed captions. Humming? What this? What do? Dot. Oh, thank you, Peachy, by the way. Whoa, making it rain. Bum, 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 bum. More? What's the significance of those? Is it like things that have been put in to form the Digital Circus? Dot. It grows. There's the office, CNA. What in the Undertale? Blue. Which seems to be harmonious. Red and blue. A? Red taking over. A virus? What? What does this mean? Low tone. Generating something. Oh. The circus. But.
Another chess piece, huh?
Queenie!
How are you holding up?
I just don't know what's happening. We've never made anything like this.
I just hope that...
Wait,
Got all the original members
Are
of the
you?
circus.
it's... you.
Oh my god.
I wish I could remember your name.
Names.
I'm so sorry I roped you into this with me.
It's quite strange, isn't it?
Listen, no matter what happens, I'll always...
Oh.
And into the cellar you go.
After Queenie abstracted,
Golly, we're running out of humans here.
Kinger was the only one left of the
Now
originals.
don't you go abstracting on me too. Seriously.
She's still around. She's just... Huh. So we're down to just Kinger of the original people brought into the circus.
What?
Hi, Ragatha!
What? Hello? Guys? I can't figure out how to... guys?
So
Hello?
Ragtha was number 2.
Can you help me out here? What's happening? Can anybody hear me?
I can hear you. Are you okay?
Who are you? How
Why
do I
was Ragatha
take this
number 2
off?
of this new crew?
Whoa! A new one?
Uh-oh.
So it is possible. Looks like you got a new buddy after all, Kinger.
Kinger. Right.
Is this really...
I was hoping new minds could show up. I have to make some more preparations for this amazing breakthrough.
How do I get out of this?
I don't know.
What do you mean?
But everything's gonna be okay. Do you remember your name?
I'm...
Ragatha,
So it's about the names.
Huh?
you doing okay?
That's a good question.
Well, really hate to say it, guys, but I told
Don't you even! Do not even f***ing begin to say that sentence like you didn't try to keep us all trapped here forever.
Anything could have happened when you press those buttons. It doesn't matter.
It seemed to matter back when you did it. What if you did ruin our one chance at
And
leaving?
what if Abel was secretly evil? What if we all got stranded in the void? What if? It wasn't real. So it doesn't matter. Never did.
How can you say that like you didn't try to f*** us all over?
He's right, though.
What Gangle?
It doesn't matter what
that's
could have
interesting.
happened. We could argue about it and hurt each other all day long, but that's not gonna help anybody. I think what we need to do now is to just be there for each other. She's right. We've all done bad things, but we're also all we've got. I think we need to abandon the idea of leaving.
What do you...
We got our hopes up, and we were let down. I don't know what exactly happened with Kaufmo, but we can't let that despair consume us. We should focus on what we have. And like you said, constantly chasing an unattainable goal will drive us crazy.
Ooh, Pomni, that's...
Maybe what we have to do now is to just live.
Oh, man. I had dreams and goals. I wanted to be able to leave my mark somewhere in the world. How am I supposed to just abandon that?
That's one of the hardest things, is when you
You've
have to
made a mark
accept
in my
a
life.
life you're not happy with.
I know, you're probably right, but it just really sucks.
Zubal's so real for that, where
We're
you
all
hope you
in
don't
this
have to
together.
And
give
we'll
up on any
always be
chance of
in
something
this
more.
together. No matter what.
Hey. That includes you too.
Huh?
Listen, we're not gonna have you wandering off alone somewhere and abstracting or something. You're a pain in the ass, but you're still one of us.
You think I'm capable of abstracting? You guys worry
Masking.
too much.
the tough guy mask routine.
We need a vacation.
Uh-oh.
I don't understand, Bubble. They want an exit, they want answers, they want something real. I give them an adventure that covers all of that, and they still hate it? Surely they don't want to actually leave me, right?
No way, Jose. No way, no how.
I do everything for these people.
Bubble
I
is
slave
blue.
over these adventures for them.
Red and
I step
blue.
outside my comfort zone to appeal to them, and they still hate them. I made a program that creates a body perfectly encapsulating their mind files, and they hate those too. I'm starting to get the feeling that they just hate.
Why would they hate you when they could just hate you?
This is why I was created. This is my function.
They'd rather abstract than go on your adventures.
That can't be
Bubble?
true. I do everything for them. Don't they get that I'm trying?
Maybe you're just genuinely bad at this.
Shut up! No, I fixed that. I can solve any problem. I can solve this one. That's what this is. A
What's
big
the
puzzle that
deal
I
with
need to
Bubble?
solve.
Defective.
Shut up!
Onward. Maybe you deserved to be abandoned. You really were the lesser of the two. You ruined this.
Enough! Who do they think they are?
What's
I give them
the
everything,
deal?
and they spit in my face! Don't they know what I'm capable of? Humans! They only think about themselves. They're spoiled! They won't abstract. They won't leave me. I won't let them! I'm better! I'm more powerful! I'm the original! I am God!
Snap. Well, Caine has crashed out.
Let's get this show on the road!
Take note of the blue and red colors. Something is up. I'm curious what this signifies with Bubble.
What was that?
Hello, my little fortuitous fruitcakes! Today's adventure is...
Caine, we're not in the mood. Why don't you answer some of our questions? We have a lot of them.
Who has time for questions when there's a whole wacky world of hijinks out there?
Yeah, hey, you have a lot of explaining.
Hey!
Alternatively, I don't got to explain diddly squat.
Can you just give us some time to process everything?
Or how about we skip the melodrama and get right to the fun?
No, Caine.
Be distracted
We have
and be
a lot
happy
on
with
our
it.
minds right now, and we're not going on an adventure.
I see. And since when were you in charge?
Uh-oh.
Do you have any idea how much I do for you guys? How much I obsess over trying to make things perfect? How many insults I have to ignore to do my job? You have a lot on your minds? Don't make me laugh. I have a new adventure for you, and you should consider participating.
And if we refuse?
Well, that's not menacing.
Maybe I'm not getting through to you. It's news to me that it's news to you. To which degree, who answers to who? We could go on and on, but in the end, who are we kidding? My divinity is past infinity. Am I getting through? Seems our regime has plummeted south. Don't need to scream if you ain't got a mouth. Why bite the hand that feeds when it's the only hand you're getting? It's time you see that this great marquee is the only place you're ever gonna be. So strap on in and to get on the chin, and don't forget who's running the show. Now look at this! Absolute bliss! Oh, what a shock! Watch where you walk!
Feels very inspired by Aladdin and the Return of Jafar.
Caine, that is my name. Not enthused, just feeling used. Oh, what a goddamn shame! Congratulations, all of my friends.
What in the Rocky Horror is this? Wow.
On your Sunday best because I'm nowhere close to quitting. So play the games and just ignore the pains, cause all that remains is how you prime your brains. You whine to me, but you're too blind to see that I'm the one who's running the show.
Dang. As everyone's completely wrecked by it. I mean,
we
yeah,
all understand each
Caine
other
is
now.
slinging that. Huh.
Welcome back! I can't believe you didn't pick up on the context clues. It was practically spelled out for you. What are you, stupid? Next one's gonna be even crazier. Hope you're ready. By the way, Kinger, I need you for something. Come with me.
Oh. I'm worried by all this focus on Kinger.
I don't know how many more of these new adventures I can handle. What? Got nothing positive to say about this one?
Oh,
I can't take this anymore. We gotta do something about this or I'm gonna lose my mind!
I never should have antagonized him so much. I'm sorry.
It's not your fault.
Break time! Gotta brainstorm some new ideas.
Running Kinger
He
through the
shredded me.
shitter.
I think we should get out of the open for a bit.
I haven't been up here in a while.
We
So,
should
like,
just
sweet
indulge
stuff,
a
huh?
little while we have the time to. I don't know what Caine has planned next, but I'm guessing it's not anything good.
Especially if he's abducting people one by one.
He's gotta get bored of all this sometime, right?
He's not a human. I'm not sure if we can properly gauge how he thinks.
Oh God, are you okay?
I'm fine.
Yeah, he's getting malicious because no one wants to continue going on his
Things were
adventures.
just fine here until you and Zubul came along. Nothing? Okay.
It's interesting seeing how powerless
What are you-
Jax is that he really can't antagonize anyone
Just-
now.
Give it a sec. Trust me. Kinger, you there?
Let him think in
where?
darkness.
It's dark in here.
What exactly are we waiting for?
No, she's right. Just give it a bit.
I've got a bucket on my head. I'm guessing you don't want me to remove it.
Did
Kinger.
something happen that Kinger can't think in the dark
probably.
anymore?
Wait, the bucket makes him sane?
Darkness. It's a long story.
What's happening?
What do you know about Caine?
It's a little hazy, but I remember C&A.
That was just an adventure, right?
No, C&A is a real company.
The Office.
I worked for them.
Wait, they really made this game?
No, we didn't make games. We were just developing artificial intelligence. Specifically creative AI. The kind that could come up with its own ideas and create things within the program.
What is going on right now?
Caine was our
Agentic
first
shit.
semi-successful attempt at that. I can't remember what we originally called him, but he was one of my greatest achievements as a programmer.
You made Caine?
Partially, yes. I got a few pointers from, I can't remember his real name, but his circus name was Scratch.
I was trying to think
That
of
man
who Scratch was.
Genius.
Wait.
Caine was pretty
Remember
rough
the dog,
around the
remember
edges,
his name.
though. I wasn't quite on Scratch's level of thinking outside the box, but it was good groundwork for something the rest of the team could wrap their heads around. I can't say the same for Scratch. His ideas were often so bizarre and abstract that the rest of the team had no idea how to work in his language, either due to pure brilliance or the tumor in his head. He was trying to make something. What was it? I'm getting off track.
Tumor?
Was there anything specific you needed to know?
Was Scratch trying to create an escape?
I should go distract Caine so he doesn't listen in on this. Just fill me in afterwards.
Oh.
Are you. I mean, yeah, that's true, but.
Fill me in later.
Be here later.
I will.
Jackson Scratch.
Oh my god. This is real.
Caine's going a bit crazy right now. Is there any way to stop him? Or at least control him?
I see. He's a highly advanced AI, and this is his world. One that he created from nothing. So naturally, he has control over everything. But so do we.
What?
In a sense, anyway. We all technically have the ability to conjure, just like Caine. It just comes naturally to him, but requires a lot more skill and concentration for us.
Butterfly.
I'm certain I could alter his code, or at least temporarily put him to sleep until we know how to fix him. I would just need access to a console.
The one behind Caine's office?
No, just a simple computer interface would work. I could get back into the right headspace and essentially conjure Caine's code into the console and alter it.
Where do we get one of those?
I think I know exactly where to get one. Take turns with Jax distracting Caine. Don't let that bucket come off Kinger's head.
Admittedly, I'm a little scared after what happened with Abel in the last episode. This seems convenient. But what are we... Okay, so that's the plan, to try and get control of Caine.
Great suggestion, Jax. But as I feared, there just isn't anything stuck between my teeth. Oh, wait. Oh, that's where I parked. Haha.
Wow, Caine, you are so funny.
Could you say it with a little more gusto? That's better.
Hey, Caine!
Yep.
Do you want to hear a list of things we've decided we love about you as our God and Savior?
Well, now we're talking.
Well, first of all, we love your...
I know, but I'm bored. Let's go bowling.
Uh-oh. No, wait, but... Gun?
I'm so proud of you guys.
So Pomni's back in the office. Find a simple computer. Unless there's something else she's looking for. She sees the computer. Possibly. We can discuss theories afterward. Saw that in chat. Interesting also, that is an early 90s computer.
I feel like it's missing something, right?
It's
So I'm
missing
curious.
relatability.
You're right. Scrap it.
If there's
Let's
a
go
certain
back to the
time
drawing
period
board.
that's supposed to be set
Humans
in.
just aren't a relatable sculpting material.
You think he's running out of ideas yet, or nah?
Do you need help with power or anything?
Nah, I can use my imagination for that.
You got this?
I think so. Sure has been a while. I may need some time to get my bearings. Try to help the others distract Caine while I figure this out. He may sense something when I really get into it.
Okay, I'll do that.
So I forgot if Kinger's eyes were that bloodshot
Thank you,
for this episode.
by the way. For this and, well, everything.
Honestly, are you even trying?
Shut up, Jax.
Where'd Caine go?
Back to the drawing board, I guess.
Did you get everything working with Kinger?
I think so. We just need to make sure Caine doesn't check up on him.
What do you think we've been doing?
Omni! That's the relatability we've been missing.
Oh.
You know, I thought this endless onslaught of fun would be a little more satisfying. But I've come to realize that these rapid pace ideas are a little half-baked.
I'm sure you can come up with new ideas if you put your mind to it.
That's exactly it, though. I
Feels
am
like a
putting my
commentary
mind to
on
it, and
short-form
I'm
content,
just
what
not
AI slop
feeling
has
that
become.
spark I once did. And if you're not having fun, and I'm not having fun, then who is having fun?
I'm having a baby.
Exactly. Makes me wonder why you guys even switched up your tone. If I didn't know any better, it seems like you're trying to... Where's Kinger?
We just wanted to see your new ideas firsthand. We've gotten over our hang-ups, and now we're all just genuinely curious what you're cooking up.
I think I'm just gonna check up on...
We think your ideas suck!
Huh?
Oh.
Huh? Isn't it obvious? We wanted to bait
Pomni
you into
chooses
testing your new ideas on
violence.
us so we can make fun of them behind your back.
Ha! That's not true.
Yes, it is! You're a horrible host. You don't care about us at all. You care more about stroking your own ego than giving us anything we'd actually enjoy.
Do you know who
Like
I
a
am?
bad
Yeah,
boss.
You're a failure. We're all gonna
No
abstract
names.
someday. And what will you have then? Nothing.
Stop that.
And this whole stunt?
Uh-oh.
Just torturing us because we hurt your feelings?
Uh-oh.
Pathetic! You're like a child! What kind of all-powerful being has such a fragile ego?
I'm...
You never let us feel like we're at home. You don't comfort anyone when they're upset, and you never bother to understand what it's like in our shoes.
You discourage us from thinking outside the box and doing things our own way.
You lie to us
Oh, this is
constantly.
And on
therapeutic.
top of it all, you just don't listen.
I love that the entire cast has said stuff that I'm sure many of us have wanted to say to someone at some point.
I'm gonna put you freaks in your place!
Oh, no! No! Oh, God, he made him even hotter. Ragatha's abuse manifested. Shikuni. Again with the truck. Smallfield with Zubul and Jax? Oh. Oh boy. No wonder Jax is a bully.
Why do you people torment me? It didn't have to be created. I just wanted to fulfill my purpose.
Wait, no.
Oh no. What?
Wait.
Kaufmo? Kinger, what happened? What happened?
I think I accidentally killed Caine.
Holy shit.
Oh. Oh no. Oh crap. Wow. Wow. The grand finale, June 19th, 3 months from now. Okay, chat. Now there was an unexpected twist. That everyone's got a moment of peace, but they might be actually effed if Caine is gone. Because, okay, let's talk for a second. This episode, I'm trying to think of where to start with this, because we've got a lot of things we've looked at right now. Caine has at this point been completely confirmed to be an AI, and has been churning out all of these adventures of entertaining everyone, of trying to keep them amused, just stay in his world, stay focused on everything. And trying to understand why. I'm trying to get my thoughts together, because we've seen a lot about each of the characters in those scenes of how they've been tormented, which actually, now I'm trying to think about it. Where was Pomni in this? Because as we looked at everyone in their breakdown, let's see where we go. Okay, what was Pomni's again? So being attacked by Gummigoo, I feel like there's some significance to Gummigoo beyond him being an NPC. But Gummigoo was... Why would she be seeing an NPC manifested in this monstrous, tormenting way? Unless Gummigoo also corresponds to someone in the real world. So I'm not entirely sure about Pomni. Ragatha, it seems, dealing with abuse, these knives being thrown. by someone who looks like a giant Ragatha, who I've listened to some synopsis, which is probably a manifestation of possibly her mom. Gangle breaking down over art, and I'd seen the truck because it's apparently a reference to, Truck-kun, isekais, being spirited away. And I wondered about that on the Spudsies episode, where it was hard to tell, and I was kind of going back and forth with someone about this, whether Gangle had fallen in front of this truck and been spirited away in a reference to, anime thing, or I was inclined to think she jumped in front of this truck. Because Gangle, we've seen established with such crippling depression, such crippling insecurity, seeing her personality wearing masks at Spudsies, where just giving up her art and having to be this restaurant food service drone with all the fakeness. Zubul, dysmorphia. We've got just mirrors, and what is it with Jax? Because we've got bullying, so Jax, we've seen so much character growth from him, where he's gone from being this two-dimensional asshole who's just constantly picking on Zubul, Gangle, anyone whose buttons he can push, and showing why is it he's having his skin and body ripped off and he's being laughed at, which wait a minute. I just noticed that right now, how, we've got individuals who look like they resemble, someone called this out, they resemble Kaufmo. I'm gonna say probably Ribbit, and why Pomni? Why do we have a Pomni-looking shadow? What does this connect between Pomni and Jax? I didn't notice this the first watch through, but it's the three of them that we have in this scene right here. Forced to remove his mask and bring down his barriers. So, which, going back to the last episode, how we had Jax when he was having flashbacks of, in real life, just driving in his car. Right after a beer. Anyway, I'm sorry. Couldn't resist. But we had Jax just driving like he was running away from something, but we don't have the puzzle pieces as to what. All of these individuals where permission denied, whoops, wrong approach there. So, okay, now we're just in Linux right now. C&A, characters, AI, root wheel, Scratch, Ragatha. Oh, are those years of who showed up when in the circus? Because we've got Scratch and we got Ragatha up the top. So we know Scratch was the first. Ragatha was the first after the original crew was down to just Kinger. Immersive AI defense system. So something to prevent Kinger from deleting Caine. As we had Caine losing it because he's trying to win over everyone's opinion. Okay, let's inch back for a second. Multiple exploit attempts logged. Oh. Security sweep, administer, not even close to wacky enough. Like, Kinger's trying to remember a password. Wacky word, but wrong code. Why is he... And again, what is Bubble's significance in this? Because now we've got Bubble, almost like this little virus, this little earworm who's trying to torment Caine every step of the way. To egg him on. Rollback. Deleting. Interesting. So that's what I was wondering. Is Bubble the AI that Caine took over? Because we saw at the start of this, I know I got things muted right now just because I'm just kind of ruminating and thinking about different things. The Bubble Boy virus. You know, let me look up on that, because the Bubble Boy... What is the Bubble Boy virus from 1999? The Bubble Boy virus. Doing some reading. An email virus launched in November of 1999 that affected English and Spanish versions of Microsoft Outlook running with Windows 98 or 2000 and Internet Explorer 5. Sent out an email to everyone in the address list, which may have called a mailstorm in certain networks. Could write files without passing through a required authorization. ActiveX. That brings back memories. Watershed event because it was the first time an email message could execute code. Which, as we were looking at that, at the very start of everything, where we see red and blue, and for some reason, red being infused with something. All these various elements of circuses, putting out shapes, being infused with something else. So we have green in there. Okay, building more things, more images, but more distorted. And then we're looking at blue, these three colors controlling everything. And why is blue all showing pictures? And thank you for the follow, Dylan. Calendar mentioning January. Creating creation. The CNA offices. Is there anything we can see? We got coffee cups, it's still just drab. All these scenes of an office space. So something has gone wrong. And here again, blue. Why? I feel like there's some significance to the colors. We've got RGB building up the red. And then we've got this infusion of yellow. I wonder if Bubble, or whatever Bubble is supposed to represent, was developed as a new AI to replace Caine as a failed experiment. But now we've got this red bubble going crazy and taking over this blue entity. Interesting. And all creating a circus. All right, so now that we've made it through the episode and Do we have anyone to note from the characters? Because we've got Scratch. I don't know if anyone else has got any significance. So, Scratch is back. Kinger has talked about Scratch, and then we had Queenie who showed up. But so, all right. Now, some of y'all have suggested some theories. And so originally, theory on episode 9's ending, be able to leave through the void because the only reason Pomni couldn't leave was because Caine was stopping her. But now that he's dead, no one can stop them. Jax gets mind controlled as Caine's physical body is dead. But maybe his mind is still alive and makes Jax attack everyone else. So possibly a way that Caine can be around in one form or another. And DM, you mentioned something too. What's on your mind? But human mind versus AI. Because I guess I'd wonder... So Purple Survivor, I'd wonder about that. What technology we're looking at to control things like this. Because I was thinking about this as the episode went on. And Caine's entire MO is just to provide endless entertainment, endless distractions. Be happy with this slop that he's feeding, that he's just trying to feed everyone. And even if you don't like it, accept it. Just keep going with it. Accept that there's nothing beyond just this mindless amusement. Interesting. So much to think about. So yeah, I don't think we found out who the others were. Now, DM, what are you thinking? And I'll also say, this idea of an AI learning more, there's a modern thing of agentic AI. More slop bots. But agentic AI is something in which, you're trying to develop a sentient agent who's able to respond in as humanistically as possible. And as such, create an AI that in theory can learn, so it's not restricted to the model that it's trained on, which a lot of AI models out there, they use what are called LLMs, large language models, where they're just trying to take up as much information as possible, bring it all in, and then spit out whatever makes sense based on what they've been trained on, which there's been so many ethical issues because in many cases, a lot of the big players in AI right now, they're training off of pirated works, off of copyrighted material, hence why you'll see AI slop images that are generated off of certain artists' styles. So as a result, it's almost uncanny how they try to imitate the artist's styles. Red dot is Caine's human mind, blue dot is AI taking Caine over. But that's the thing, is that as we've established, Caine is an AI. I don't think we have a connection to Caine in the real world. And DM, you're saying there's Catholic parallels here with Cain and Abel, which, yes, we've got some religious parallels. First children by Adam and Eve, God favored Abel over Cain. Yeah. So for anyone who's not familiar, the sons of Adam, Cain and Abel. And as the story went, Abel's offerings in the Old Testament were seen as greater by God, which drove Cain to jealousy to where he murdered his brother, which then God did not like and punished him as a result. I forgot the exact thing that Cain was forced to bear. God is brutal in depictions of the Old Testament, so a lot of punishment dealt out. So because that stuck out to me when they established Cain and the character of Abel, who was a manifestation by Cain, at least so we believe. Abel was probably an NPC created by Cain. Red bubble at the beginning is Caine AI. Blue bubble is Abel, which was seen as the superior AI, and Caine just consumed him and made the circus. Yeah, because we do see this red AI lash out and build the circus, which I'm not sure what the circus's significance is, aside from just this training data that all seem to have circus imagery. And hello, Zameda. So yes, we have finished up. Right now, I'm talking about some stuff, a lot of rambling thoughts, just because there's so much to take in from this episode. It's interesting how I feel like it's one of the more straightforward episodes. And thank you anyone who can fill in the context just from a little bit of a fuzzy mind. Abel in Genesis 4, Caine forced by God to bear punishment as a fugitive and wanderer of the earth, cursed from the ground, meaning it will no longer yield crops for him. Thank you. Thank you. I was trying to remember what God's punishment for Caine was. Circus. So that's because now here's where we're trying to figure out everyone who's in the circus. Why are they in the circus? That in the case of Kinger, he was a programmer behind Caine. And I think the implication is that everyone in this, at one point or another, had worked with C&A. But why are these specific individuals in this simulation now? And that's been one of the big questions that I don't think any of us have gotten the answer, aside from maybe some inferences as to what their jobs might have been with C&A. So I will say the storytelling is great, and Gooseworks has really set this up beautifully because we're asking questions up to the last episode, which 3 months. We've got 3 more months before the story is wrapped. And in one form or another, it's gonna bring everything together. But, you know, we really can't know until we get there how this all comes together. Interesting. I also appreciate that for all things considered, this felt like less of a gut punch episode. And hello, Aurora. Thank you very much for following. I know, as I've been rambling, I know Aurora streams with DM a lot at night. So, welcome in. Hello. And hello, Twyla. Jack said none of them are C&A employees. Okay, so I missed that, trying to know who C&A is and volunteer themselves. So test subjects. I think with the exception of Kinger. And however Queenie falls into place, who I think it's pretty safe to say was Kinger's IRL wife. So I think their eyes were that detailed. Because I was trying to think about that, if Kinger's eyes were getting more bloodshot as things are going on. Because there's something. Man. I just appreciate how this has been set up. Way for Caine to understand what the real world is like, tried obtaining that information and failed to process those. Because here's the other thing. Abstraction, which is implied to be a complete mental break of different characters. They lose their cool, they crash out, and turn into monsters who have lost themselves. as happened with Queenie, as happened with Kaufmo, as probably happened with both Scratch and Ribbit, and it seems like we're seeing Jax on the brink of abstracting as well. But do we know whether abstraction is either a negative end or is it actually an escape? And hello, PPJNs. Hi. I'm using my brain muscles right now. I'm trying to make sure all those wrinkles of being a daddy dragon are functioning right now. So just discussing everything after we watch the episode. Right now it's just on silent because I'm doing letting it play in the background while I'm kind of going about with all my thoughts. Interesting. So, DM, what you're saying is Scratch and Kinger, they were employees. Queenie, as someone who was close to Kinger. And what y'all are saying right now is that everyone else was a tester at some point. Queenie, a psychiatrist. Aha. I gotta look that up because I wasn't sure if that had ever been explained with Queenie's background. Ragatha was with people when she put on the headset. Hatchet was... I'm trying to think, what? Was that a different episode where we saw that? Or was that this one and I missed something? Entomology? Mm-hmm. Okay. Interesting. Because the show definitely hammers home the themes where everyone is fighting. The circus is just this place of... You're taken care of, but you have to accept it's this miserable life that's not fulfilling. You're just going through content. And seeing Zubal's crash out in particular of wanting to be something more, of wanting to be something real, something fulfilling. And how this seems to be related to each character, that Pomni has helped them unlock the true passions that are actually driving them beyond this point of just acquiescence and giving up. She did real estate. I gotta go back and watch that episode. Working on selling the dev building. Interesting. Because even thinking about this, Pomni's saying everyone's done bad things. I also just noticed how her lashes are all wonky. I didn't notice that before, how she's got lashes on different sides of her eyes. My little Pomni. Mental break, a physical corruption within the game. Yeah, because that's... So far, the vibe I'm getting is that abstraction is when everyone hits a breaking point. Looking at Jax in particular. That Jax, as he's forced to face all of these inner demons that are causing him to crack, that's what's drove him to have these breaks of reality where he's starting to hallucinate, where he's starting to have all of these various issues. Which, you know, Caine is... There's these elements that are egging him on. But at least from what I'm seeing, it seems to be in his own mind, the stability that's the difference between him able to keep going and him starting to lose touch with reality. Even with his character shift, where he goes from his very defensive bullying, which any of y'all who had watched when we marathoned the first few episodes, the entire time going, Jax is an asshole, Jax is an asshole, Jax is a 2D asshole, he's a constant bully. Now we're starting to see him let up and seeing just how thin the veneer is of him as a bully. and where he's starting to show vulnerability and gentleness with everyone. Of course, snapping back at moments like that. It's like, yeah, guys, I don't care. It's fine. Everything's great. Y'all, we'll just live out our lives in abstract whenever it happens. I don't care about anything. Here you go, Pomni. Shoot me in the head. Oh. And hello, Iona. Welcome in. Might work the same way as it did in Steven Universe Future. Yeah, which, pulling that one up, Steven Universe. Now, I love Steven Universe as a series. Future is a bitter chapter to the story. And my issue, if I have any issues with Future, it's that they're way too real. It is a part of the story written to watch Steven have to go through the challenges of, all right, this is happily ever after. What now? There's some very major unresolved things in Steven that, as he grows to his age and future, now has to fight through. And, okay, spoilers, but Steven Universe has been out for so long at this point that we watch as he cracks and turns into a monster who's out of control due to his emotions and all of the things that he is facing mentally, which is brutal to watch. And Steven is a difficult character in Future, but there's a point to why he's that difficult, because here you've got all this unresolved trauma, you've got all this happy child who's facing this bitter reality of, now what is my life? What are all these things that I thought I understood at one point? Will Caine's death be the cure to abstraction? That's something we have to face. So I don't think we've gotten any hints to whether that is the case or not. Because now, Queenie, as the Gloink Queen, we know she was put in the basement with all of these Gloink children of hers. So we can at least, assuming this is still the basement, it was not just a dimension manifest by Caine to put her in there. In theory, she's there. Kaufmo is also somewhere in here. I assume all of the abstracted members of the circus, they're still somewhere in here. So I don't think we have any information. We'll have to find that out in episode 9. So there's, again, I appreciate that this episode, it's not as much of an emotional gut punch as some of the other ones. But the stakes, just the stakes. Even one thing of coding something is that you have, in theory, in a healthy coding environment, you want to test out everything before you push it to go live. And watching Kinger do all of his work where, there's no way to test in this frantic moment if he can delete the AI. Well, if he could delete the AI in Caine of a way that did not cause some bizarre issue with the circus. Also, just to let you know, I do not have a follow age command. I've been meaning to set one up at some point, but I don't have one right now. What if Caine is a combination of those two AI who's constantly trying to overpower each other? Why Pomni had those knives all over her body? I did not. So, for me, all the ones that I saw were in her head. Unless, what are we looking at? Let's kind of go back a little bit. Because now we see, okay, Pomni, sandwich, yoink, she disappears. All right, let's see if there's any significance. 3 in her head, one in her torso. Is there a significance? And they're all on one side. They're all on Pomni's right side. Does that mean anything that they're at these particular points? Almost in like a eyelash formation around her eyes. So we've got these four here. Make the right choice. Oh, God. Oh, we got a connection. The right choice. Red and blue. If I remember correctly, hold on. The last episode, episode 7, wasn't it the blue button that Jax pushed to stay in the simulation? I'm going off of memory here, but if I remember correctly, it's all blue. Red and blue. Because I was wondering that, especially with how Bubble was colored at the very start of the episode. Oh, blue was the leave button. So it was red that Jax pressed. Okay, I was trying to think about that. So these are all on our right side. So for all of... Does that imply there was actually a chance to leave the circus? It wasn't just a rug pull. Aha. So we do... That leans into the theory that Jax was actively... Jax, it's pretty clear he wants to stay in the circus from his freak-out moment. Going back to the Matrix pills. Oh, the Wachowskis. If only they knew the impact that they've left after this many years. Well, I think they do, probably. Both of them are living their fulfilled lives nowadays. Blue is the dot that Caine ate at the beginning. Yeah, blue, it seems the imagery is all around Abel. And again, something is interesting with Bubble being colored blue. Where is it like Bubble is a leftover bit of that AI? Let's go. Let's scan through a bit. Where were we? Let me also click through because it looks like... There we go. All of a sudden my music was buffering. But what do we have? All the color imagery. How Bubble is... What is the significance of Bubble? A fragment of Abel, I see. Yeah, so looking at that, the knives line up with the blue color. Blue seems to be suggested as the color representing leaving. Bubble is a virus that couldn't override Caine. Behaving until episode 8. Because something... Yeah. It's so interesting. And to think... I feel like FNAF was one of the first properties that really started getting people into analyzing every little detail along the way. That there's so much lore in all the niggly bits where you see, the color purple of the purple guy. And where we're going through frame by frame where I'm going, what is the significance of that? Even on Caine's desk, where he has one of those bead toys, which Deltarune established as a thing representing fate, of beads that are just moving along their set paths. And if I remember correctly, in this moment, as Caine is starting to freak out, how all of a sudden he becomes this monstrous entity over the bead toy. Yeah, I mean, Steven Universe set up so many Rube Goldberg devices that people who predicted the big reveal behind Rose Quartz, big puzzle that you need to solve. Which, it's also interesting how, looking at it from this, at least in my eyes, this looks like a bomb, or the wires to a bomb. Interesting. You're right. Looking back at that, the lesser of the two. So there we get our very clear Judeo-Christian imagery. Which, it's kind of sad because in the way that this is structured, it makes Caine almost look sympathetic, that this is his programming, and he's angry that he can't fulfill it. But everyone is stuck with a problem. Someone had an interesting point on Twitter a few days ago, where they looked at the relationship, Steven Universe again, they looked at the relationship of Rose Quartz and Spinel. Well, I should say, minus spoilers, Pink Diamond and Spinel. Dream. And hello, Tanji Crow. Welcome in. Thank you very much for following. I hope you're enjoying yourself as we're discussing the latest episode of The Amazing Digital Circus and processing all the emotional trauma along the way. So, looking at Pink Diamond, who was gifted Spinel, a little jester to keep her entertained after she had damaged her pearl. Her original pearl, pink pearl, volleyball, if you will. And looking at Pink Diamond, someone had an interesting thing of how Pink Diamond abandoned Spinel, told her, stay in the garden, we're playing a game, I'll come back for you, which was a tactic to abandon Spinel. And it was an interesting thing. I was thinking in my mind, there's so many reasons why this interaction played out the way that this did, which hurts Spinel, obviously. Major abandonment issues. And it paints Pink Diamond in this complicated, every option is a lose situation, where you go, Pink Diamond, how she wanted to break away from the other diamonds. Was she leaving Spinel behind because, one, it would be dangerous to take Spinel, and not wanting to bring her along into this risky gamble of creating a new identity and essentially waging a war to break free of the other diamonds? Was it a thing of, you are a shackle to hold me to her family, the diamonds, and essentially being like a cat wearing a bell, because Spinel could not keep her mouth quiet. She is just constant chaos to just drone on as entertainment. Or, of course, looking at Pink Diamond and her overarching theme of self-hatred. And in all options, how do you handle someone who's stuck with an individual that... The polite thing is to take Spinel along. The polite thing in this case is to entertain Caine. But you're not with this person by choice. So it's such a complicated thing of what is the right choice. Every choice, someone gets hurt. Something is lost. It's brutal Because at that point, you're trying to minimize the damage, but someone will get hurt in the end. Bubble was able to break the rules. Caine had it together till the end of the Circus Awards, and Bubble broke the circus rules whenever Caine had moments of self-doubt. I gotta go back and watch that, because now I feel like there's so much of Bubble that is presented as weird non sequiturs, but adds up to be something really insidious. You know how some parents throw an iPad at their kids to get them to shut up? Oh yes, I've certainly seen that happen a few times. It's very... Pink Diamond is the kid, Spinel is the iPad, yes, and the diamonds are the parents. That's a very apt comparison of, instead of acknowledging these major issues that you're having that are going to cause very lasting trauma, and are really hampering you from being able to be anything more than just this mascot child-like character of the family. It's... We could get into a lot of commentary that throwing an iPad at the kid really screws them up in a significant way, because it does not actually address things that... Raising kids is a challenge. Parents, understandably, get overwhelmed. But the iPad solution, especially in the modern age, where it's just give them endless content, just give them something to amuse them, give them a constant low dopamine hit that just gets them out of your hair, leads to many issues down the road. The Bubble Boy virus theory. And you're probably right. Because looking at it right now, it's such an interesting bit of lore. Viruses in the 1990s. That the internet was certainly a much less secure place. Google is a terrible company. But one thing that they deserve credit for was creating Chrome, which for all intents and purposes ran everything, it kept everything online in a sandbox. Because once upon the ancient internet, sites could have malicious code, generally JavaScript, which, when executed, just by you stumbling upon that page, would cause this thing to run commands on your system. And there is a lot of potential to just really mess up your system, because there was no barrier in the days of Mozilla, of the original Netscape Navigator, Internet Explorer, and even with Firefox starting to come along, and Safari as well, old Safari. And when the concept of a sandboxed browser came up, because years ago, even as late as about the early 2010s, you would have these prank sites, really malicious ones. And I'm talking ones that they would run code. There was one particular site known as Last Resort. And this is one where it could have said, I forget the exact details, but it would essentially wreck your computer by running code if you were ever sent a link to this web page. And Chrome finally stopped that. And then before that, how you would get some sites where they would just spawn pop-ups ad infinitum, and they would just go crazy until they would end up causing a memory leak that would crash your system. Well, and so when I'm saying Google, I mean Google as a company. That now Google started as a search engine in the late 90s, and credit to them, their algorithm and way of just crawling the internet revolutionized how search worked, because otherwise you'd have to look in all these different indexes, and you'd have to go to Ask Jeeves, or you'd go to Lycos or Excite. Yahoo, and each one of them had a different index, or in the old internet where you would have web rings, where kind of like how you have Blue Sky's starter packs right now, these were contained groups that people of a certain community, they would just get their websites listed so that you could just click through different pages, and let's say it could be Sonic fan sites. An entire ring of Sonic fan sites that was just this small, tightly knit community. That Google, when it came along as a very competent search engine, that in its early days could typically deliver what you were looking for. There's reasons why we say Google it. And then Google, when they got into developing products related to the web, where they created, well, first they grabbed YouTube, but then as they started developing Chrome, their own browser, which had this different functionality, because before then you had Internet Explorer, you had Mozilla Firefox, you had Opera, not Opera GX, Opera, and you had Safari. And those were your four big ones of the internet at the time. And when Chrome came along, it really shifted everything. Again, where, Google trying to monopolize every bit of the internet bit by bit, but that technology advancement, again, that was major for security. You think Bubble has been given total control of the circus? Interesting. So now I see all y'all who are suggesting that if Caine is gone, what is Bubble's role? Because in this case, we have, I don't know if there's any color theory, because we just have random purple. Oh. Purple guy? No. We have purple void. So I don't know if that has any significance for what we're seeing versus blue. So it's interesting. Is Bubble around still? Or do we now have this amalgamation of the red and blue entities? There is so much. You gotta give props to anyone who does any theory crafting, because there is so much to take in with something like this. And writing you could write a research paper for each one of these. You Parasite popped. Thank you for bringing that up. And hello, Bones. We finished watching it a little bit ago. So now I'm just doing kind of a wandering talk while looking at some different elements again. And trying to figure out if there's any significance to all of these different parts. Let's take a look at the credits. Okay, so we got Cassie Iwulu, who had joined as Queenie. Okay. Did we get anyone else? Recognize a few names who are now working with Glitch. And I know I've said it before, but just shout out to... Oh, they've got Queenie plushies! And this abstracting Caine toy. And then I saw the Empreg Kinger that's been dropped in the Zettaplex now. Oh my god, we've got matching Kinger and Queenie keychains. Oh, man, get that for someone you love. Ditzy Flama. Okay, so Ditzy Flama is part of this. All right. We've got a lot of creators who have been in the net for a long time. Paul Latz, okay, familiar with him. Who else we got? Don't think I know anyone on that page. Special thanks. Okay, we got the Examination dudes in there. Amazing. Where's Caine and Bubble? Yep. Hold up. Okay, no, I was looking at the merch for a second going, these are different versions of Kinger that we've got up here. Figures that everyone will be normal and responsible with. Amazing. And you're thinking on the YouTube side, Caine is still alive. That Caine is a god, that we might be thinking Caine is gone too soon. Totally normal and responsible with. Indeed. And Tuxel has just dropped. What did Tuxel drop? Ah! Yep. Tuxel working on some content. Oh my god, she cooking. She cooking. You like jazz? Mewing. There's probably going to be a new emote that we're going to have very soon. Oh my god. Be just another adventure. Suddenly, oh man. Now, how's that for a rug pull? How would that be for a rug pull? Where suddenly Caine just comes back and is like, "Hi guys, so what I missed? Did you enjoy my next great adventure? All of our funny buddies could be able to get together and just have one fun adventure. Same time next week." Pomni being red and blue, definitely. Yeah, well, and it's so interesting looking at the... Again, FNAF brains where everything has a color. Because we've got red, yellow, blue for forming Caine. And how did we get this harmonious blue with yellow? So that's Skelemat. You're probably correct with that. I think that is the implication. Is that we have Caine, the AI, and then Bubble is alluded to another AI. Either an able AI or something else that possibly Bubble is the AI for. Or Bubble is a virus that's infected this AI. And it's also interesting, the knife throwing, how it seems like that was just done for Ragatha and Pomni. And in Ragatha's case, seems to be probably an abusive family member. Likely her mother. I think it was Georgia Dow who had discussed that the significance of Ragatha is probably a family issue. And I think Ragatha has alluded to something like that as well. Let's see. Watching everyone's torment one more time. I'm still curious where we're going. Now that we've got even more monstrous gummy goo, I know some of y'all want that gator goo. I know some of y'all just saw those teeth and you're like, so, can I see what you got down under there? Red is being fed data it couldn't replicate properly and generate good things from the data, while blue could. Gator gummy goo is gonna be in your nightmares or your dreams. The thunder from down under. Gummy goo's eyes are yellow. Does that have any significance? Because, given gummy goo, it just had dot eyes. Not that kind of girly, eh? Alright, leaving it for the others. So Crocs all biting Pomni. Hold up. I'm noticing some... Hold up. No. Go away, menu bar. We've got Ragatha, where everyone has been stabbed in the head or in the chest. I wanted to... No, it looks like that's fluff. Because I was curious if all of them had been stabbed in the heart. so we've got... What else has happened to Ragatha? Is there any significance to where she was hit? Her hand, heart, and her eye. And was there anything else to see in the computer screen there? So we've got a very Windows 95, Windows 98 looking system here. Accessibility. Yeah, that just looks like a C drive. Neural scans. Telnet. Okay, so going into a server. Who am I? Gangle's breakdown, which I think is pretty straightforward. Yeah, I don't think there's anything to get from Gangle or Zubul. They're pretty clear-cut with what they're going through. Yeah, it looks like either Windows 95 or 98 from... It might be 2000 as well, but at least looking at the icons and the layout of it, it looks like it is most... That's a 90s era version of Windows. So it's 95 or 98. And October 15th. Note that date. How it keeps happening. October 15th, 1996. So that would be Windows. Yeah, that would be Windows 95. And going up until 2008 with Ragatha. So we've got an entire 9-year gap between Scratch and Ragatha. Interesting. Interesting. Well, yeah, so 1999 is when the Bubble Boy virus was released. And I don't think it matters much whether if we're looking at a Windows 95 or 98 interface, because for most common purposes, they were very similar operating systems. One just was developed to have more stability than the prior one. So yeah, there's been a lot of speculation as to where Bubble falls into this. If he's actually a reference to the Bubble Boy virus or something else. Man. Trying to inject code. Because I don't know if there was also any significance that we had 4 gators there. While we had 3 between Gummy Goo and the other 2, who I forget their names off the top of my head. October 15th, 1996 was a Tuesday. Did Jax know Scratch personally? Had a very strong reaction. Yeah, we've only had little bits and pieces revealed as to what's going on with Jax and his reactions to things. So I think some bits can only be speculated over. Still. Because we're getting little hints of things. But I really don't think we're able to... Whoop! Actually, let's see if there was anything on that blue screen. Frame by frame. No, I think that's just a... It's blurred, so I don't think we can get anything. Yeah. Nothing's clear with the blue screen. Unless... Now we got a time. 8:25. Does that mean anything? Now we're going into complete FNAF territory. Like trying to find the name of the crying child. Huh. The only important stuff that happened on October the 15th of 1996 was Macarena being number 1. Oh, no! No! Okay, everyone. Macarena theory. This is all the Amazing Digital Circus is the result of Macarena being popular. Everything is the fault of the Macarena. The song that infected every boomer party. This is all the fault of the Macarena. Amazing. Solved. Ship it. Wow. I'll say, I think I need a moment to get my thoughts together. Because we've just been, my head is just going through and, Pepe Sylvia territory where we're trying to figure out, what does this all mean? One more episode. June 19th, 2026. Be here. And until next time, make sure to like and subscribe. Check me out here on YouTube and on Twitch, where I do reactions, gaming, skits, and all sorts of other fun stuff. And until our next adventure, I will see you all soon. Good night, dreamers.